On this episode, we start a new series on Bangkok's underappreciated gems. This time, it's the fabulous Scala movie theater.
Before that, we talk about the serious side of bowling in Bangkok. After that, we'll tell you how we feel about bedazzling? Sure, why not?
So grab the popcorn, folks. It's Season 2, Episode 44 of the Bangkok Podcast. Sawadee krap and welcome to the Bangkok Podcast. My name is Greg Jorgensen, a Canadian who wandered over to Thailand in 2001 and just kind of loitered.
And I am Ivo Terra, an American expat living full-time in Bangkok since the beginning of 2016. Thanks for joining us and welcome to the Big Mango.
So Ivo, before we get started, a big thanks to our supporters on Patreon who help us keep the show going and free of annoying adverts. And as is the custom for supporters of the show, shout-out level, we have someone to thank.
Yes, indeed, we do. This week, it's a gentleman by the name of Matt B. Now, Matt B. is supporting us at the Box Gift Club level, which I realize is a terrible name. Box Gift Club? What the hell does that even mean? But
sounds like something you get in Hellraiser. Oh,
yeah.
The box.
We have such sights to show you. So he's supporting us at the box gift level, which I will soon rename because we are going to be sending him a gift in the mail that we specially check out. So that's why I love Matt B. even more.
And as you know, Ivo, I do like to do some research on our dear patrons, and I found out something interesting about Matt. Check this out. A few weeks ago, he was walking home from his weekend job as a volunteer at an orphanage when he passed a building that was on fire.
Whoa.
And he noticed a dog outside in great distress, and he heard whining coming from inside. He immediately knew what he had to do. Wow. So without thinking of his own safety, he jumped right through the weakened wall of this building, only to find a fresh litter of puppies trapped by the flames.
Amazing.
Yeah, he scooped them up. He rushed outside to safety, returning them to their very thankful mother. And that's just the kind of guy Matt B. is.
Wow. That's what we get for our patron sponsors. What a wonderful human being.
We like quality people.
And humanitarian you are, Matt B. And if you want to support the show and get Greg to say silly things about you and also get access to bonus content and other kinds of cool swag, head on over to patreon.com/Bangkok Podcast today.
Now, if you've noticed, we are not recording in our regular location today, but before we talk about just where in Bangkok we are and why we are here, Ivo, you wanted to bounce a question off me about ties and bowling?
Before I talk about ties and bowling, though, I forgot to mention something.
Uh-oh.
So, August 30th,
yeah,
we're going to have that I Love Podcasting in Bangkok meetup that we've been talking about briefly.
Yeah.
August 30th, I will put together, I think a Facebook event is probably the most appropriate area for people to sign up, right, and do that one. So it's all about, if you love this show, if you love any other shows, tell your friends. If you're in Bangkok on August the 30th, sign up. Go to the show notes, and you will find a link to the I Love Podcasting in Bangkok, which is what I'm calling it for now, meetup that we're having on August the 30th. But,
not quite as catchy as box level support, but...
See, I can do one good one, and then I'm spent for the rest of the time. But back to my question about bowling in Thailand.
Yeah.
My question is very simple. Do Thais take bowling seriously?
Yeah, they do, and it's so weird because where I'm from, and I don't know if this is the same where you're from, bowling is like a redneck, white trash.
Yep.
We're bored. There's nothing else to do. Let's go do something goofy and ironic thing to do.
There is the PBA, the Professional Bowling Association, PBL, whatever they are, like the top ones out there.
Right.
There's like a notch below that, people who have their own leagues and get together. And then there's this vast gulf of nothingness until you get to the, I'm drunk on a Saturday at 2, what else should I do?
That's exactly what it is. But in Thailand, it's so different because Thailand in bowling in Thailand is almost like a high society thing to do. Like you dress up to go bowling.
Oh my God. That's what I thought. And let me tell you why I think that. So my lovely wife, Sheila D., works at a Thai private school,
right,
and has lots of other foreign teachers that work there as well. They had an event not far from where we happen to be, which we haven't told people where we're at, so I'll keep the surprise hidden, where the Western teachers got together and went bowling one night. And it was every bit as what you have described. There was beer, there was lots of laughter, and occasionally you remembered that you had to throw this 10-pound ball down a lane.
Oh, yeah,
Don't
the ball.
forget, we have to do that. Well, it seems that the Thai teachers have coordinated their own bowling game and have invited the Western staff to attend, which is awesome. My wife's all about more integration between the Western staff and the Thai staff, so it's wonderful. So we are going to this bowling game on Saturday. However, We can have no more than 3 people on a team.
What?
Yes. You have to you have to have a team, and you must form a team. So if another teacher and his wife and my wife and me can't form a team together, you have 3.
Well, that's not building unity.
Is appropriate number. You have to have a name.
Yeah,
The team must be
that
named,
makes
and I do believe there is a dress code for how we must show up at this bowling game. So I don't know what I've gotten myself into. I will report back after this weekend to see if I've survived this integrational bowling thing.
You got to work the word balls into your name somehow, funnily and ironically.
I had a lot that all got dismissed by my wife because it's her school, not me. So
Right.
The Nads weren't going to play into that one.
The Nads.
No, they were not.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Nads.
Go Nads!
Well, this is the first episode in an ongoing series that we're going to start doing on Bangkok's hidden, ignored, or underappreciated gems. Now, right now, we're recording from a park that is just sort of down behind Siam Square. And this is not where we were originally going to record.
Or even originally recorded.
No. Actually, we were originally going to record in the Scala Theater, the magnificent Scala Theater, which is what we're going to be talking about this episode. But as we started recording the Patreon bonus content, we almost got through it, and then we were approached by a very friendly, lovely old man who came up and told us basically to GTFO.
Get out!
He said, sorry, but you have to have permission to film or record or take pictures of the Scala Theater, and we would appreciate it if you sort of stopped doing whatever you're doing.
Yes.
And he was very nice about it. He couldn't have been sweeter.
Exactly.
So we finished recording our bonus content, which you can find on Patreon, and we moved to this little park where we have started recording the actual episode now.
They probably can't kick us out of the park, although we do have one security guard lingering
one guy
around,
was eyeballing
wondering what it is these 2 falang are doing with microphones in their mouths.
Anyway, back to the Scala.
Yes.
The Scala is definitely an amazing place, and I got to say it's gorgeous.
It is.
It's historic. It's unique. And if you have never been there, dear listener, you are doing yourself a disservice. In fact, Philip Jablon, who runs an awesome blog that I really like reading called the Southeast Asia Movie Theater Project, he said the Scala ranks among the finest operating movie theaters anywhere in the world, quote unquote.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Just internally, this place is kind of amazing. What the architecture looks like inside. Now, I've read it described as a uniquely Thai composite of tropical Art Deco and 1960s Thai modern, which seems right to me. I wasn't in Thailand in the 1960s, but it has that 60s vibe and feel to it. It's very Art Deco.
Yeah. I feel like I should be wearing slacks and smoking a pipe when I walk in.
Oh, completely. Yeah, it's pretty wonderful. Whether the cool little starburst, sunburst things that are up in the ceiling, which look great. They would look better if they had the appropriate illumination in them. But right now, that incandescent bulb they've got, or they're not incandescent, whatever the new ones are. Fluorescent. Yes, bulb just kind of doesn't really go.
Yeah, they should put the cool new hipster light bulbs they got in there. That would look really cool.
That would look amazing. And that huge 50-foot or whatever it is long mural that's on the back wall that talks about entertainment in Asia.
Yeah,
it shows that in relief. It's
one
amazing.
of those things you really probably wouldn't notice unless you happen to look up and wanted to study it. But it's what you said, 50 feet long. It's massive. It's long, and it shows all the different types of entertainment and music in Southeast Asia, which is really cool.
Pretty fascinating thing. I know that the that particular artwork that's up there was done by a Filipino artisan. That's who created that. Yeah, when you walk into the Scala Theater, it's that thing that you go, oh, I'm in a cool little old space. But the next time you go, stop, look around, and absorb what's the really cool things happening. It's difficult to describe all of this in audio form, but it's a pretty impressive place.
Another interesting fact about it: did you know that originally movies were shown in 70 millimeter at the Scala? It's a single single screen cinema.
Right.
And originally, when it opened, 70 millimeter films, which is how Lawrence of Arabia and Battle of the Pacific and all these old badass beautiful films were shown. And, and 70 millimeter hasn't been around for a long time. Most movie theaters now are 35 or digital, but 70 is making a comeback.
Yeah.
And we in the lobby, we even saw a couple of cutouts and posters for these old movies that were coming back. They've got Bridge Over the River Kwai is going to be shown.
And I wonder, was that originally in 70 millimeter? Well, actually,
I don't know.
But it can't be. I did read, because I read that story, but I know that the 70 millimeter equipment was taken out because film changed. Film went to 35 millimeter, and it's only now coming back as 70 millimeter, a larger format, because you get more stuff
Right.
on the screen itself. So
Right.
yeah, fascinating how things are turning around, is making a total resurgence here. So I did a little digging on this, and I found out that Scala's history dates back, or this particular area that we're in, Siam Square, dates back all the way to 1966, when the 800-seat Siam Theater was first built.
All right.
And then in 1969, a theater called the Lido opened next door to that, which was followed by the 1,000-seat cinema that we know as the Scala back in 1969. Now, since then, and kind of working backwards, a fire damaged the Lido back in the 90s. And when they rebuilt it, they converted it into a 3-movie theater. What was one has become now 3 different theaters you do. So it is a multiplex inside of the Lido. And the Siam Theater, which started everything off, it actually burned down in 2010. But luckily for us, the Scala remains untouched.
I remember that in 2010 was the infamous red shirt riots and
Yeah.
the army crackdown.
Yeah.
And when we got word, I remember when the word went out that the theater was burning down, I mean, people were like, holy shit. The whole block is going to go. And then the movie guys were freaking out.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's a lot of movie fans and old theater buffs and architecture buffs. And that whole block is full of these old, beautiful buildings. And people were really worried that the whole place was going to burn down. But thankfully, also tragedy, it was only it was confined to one building, but
Yeah.
it was a really nice building that's gone. But yeah, thankfully the Scala remained and is still operating as it always has. But for how long? So we're going to talk about that in a moment. But first, I want to talk about the history of cinema in Thailand, which actually is much more intertwined in Thai culture than a lot of people really understand or know about. Now, keep in mind that the first public display of a moving picture as like a cinema, an early age cinema, happened in 1895.
Okay.
The Lumiere brothers created this technology, and it premiered in Paris in 1895. Just 10 years later, Thailand displayed its first public showing of a movie, and that was when a Japanese entrepreneur named T. Watanabe set up Siam's first permanent cinema in Bangkok, and he called it the Japanese Cinema. Later on, it was changed to the Royal Japanese Cinema after it had been granted royal permission to display the government seal.
That's pretty impressive that within 10 years, Thailand is not known for being on the cutting edge.
No,
of
banks
things.
here still operate in the 1870s. But only 10 years after this like world-changing technology premiered.
Hey, look, moving pictures.
Yeah,
Right.
It was in Thailand, and
Amazing.
and people back then, from what I've read about, were huge fans of cinema, and all these movie theaters started popping up. So in the 1920s, they stopped constructing theaters out of wood and embracing concrete. So while it's hard to find those old wooden structures, usually because they've burned down or are over 100 years old, lots of the concrete ones still remain, like the Rama Theater in Chinatown, where you and I recorded Bangkok's War on Street Food, a live report in episode 2.35.
Right. I remember doing that. That was a cool place, but you wouldn't know it was a theater.
No.
But it was definitely concrete. And now that I know that, I've seen lots of other ones, and there are probably a dozen still standing, few still operating theaters like that in Bangkok.
Yeah, the Rama Theater has now been turned into a badass noodle joint
Right on.
/ gay pickup joint.
Well,
so,
these things together. I
Different
get
strokes
it.
for different folks, so to speak. So in 1932, the government of King Rama VII built the majestic Sala Chalumkrung Theater as part of its 150th anniversary of the founding of Bangkok.
Yeah, and now we're almost to the 250 founding of Bangkok, so we'll see what happens with cinema in there. But as mentioned, lots of cool old theaters abound here, but I think our favorite ones or my favorite one definitely remains the Scala Theater. Do you often partake in going to the Scala?
No, I sadly have sold out to the man, and I prefer the bigger, newer cinemas. I wouldn't say I prefer them. It's just that when I do have the time to see a movie, it's usually with my wife, and that's just the ones we happen to go to. So I haven't been to the Scala in quite a while, actually. I was supposed to come last year on Father's Day. They were showing a special screening of Lawrence of Arabia,
Yeah.
which is one of my favorite movies, and I've never seen it on the big screen, and I was so excited to see it. I bought a ticket like a month out for 100 baht, which is about $3.
Yeah.
And on the morning of Father's Day, when I was supposed to go see this amazing movie that I was so excited to see, my son decided to vomit all over the living room floor. And my wife was like, well, you can still go if you want to. So me being a sensitive husband who knows how these things work, I never actually went. So the last time I was actually at the Scala seeing a movie was probably 4 or 5 years ago.
Wow.
But you go more than I do.
I do. It is my chosen theater. I think I have been to well, let me think. One other theater in Bangkok.
Really?
Other than Scala or Lido. Scala and Lido is still open, owned by the same company.
Yeah.
Apex Cinema, Apex Siam, I think, is the name of the company that owns all of those. Those are my choices to go to. And really for three things.
Okay.
There's three things I love about the Scala and the Lido. The first one is what I call analog convenience.
All right.
Now, I'm a modern digital dude. I recognize that it's 2017. And when I was in America, I loved it when we had the ability to not only buy tickets ahead of time, but choose our seats ahead of time.
Yeah.
In the big reclining chairs that relax, you put your feet up and like you can just go to sleep and it's all nice and cozy.
Luxury.
I love all of that. And you don't get that in the Scala.
Right.
What you get in the Scala instead is this analog experience to where you just show up and you get your tickets. The tickets are printed on paper. They write the seat number on the ticket. They're pulled out of a booklet. There's a piece of paper at the checkout at the ticket counter where you pick the seat number that you want.
Yeah, it's like a photocopied piece of paper with a layout of the cinema.
And she has a little, like a little magic marker that she crosses through when somebody's bought those seats. Totally
it's
great.
Romantic.
And then she just pulls a ticket out of the booklet, writes your seat number on it, gives it to you, and you go sit down. So you still get to choose your seat, just not ahead of time.
Right.
So that's wonderful. But the reason I never, ever worry about it is because it's never jam-packed and busy.
Yeah.
I can always get the center seats that I want. I always want to sit in the middle of the screen and about midway in the theater. That's just ideal for me. And they're always available. I've never been to a showing there where it's been impossible to get good seats. So
That's
it's
awesome and sad at the same time.
Yeah, I would like more people to go, obviously. The more people that go will keep the theater. And we're going to talk in a moment about why the theater is in danger. But number one is that it's still convenient to go. But it's still an analog experience. Second thing I love about it counters the tyranny of choice. Right? The tyranny of choice is when you've got too many choices and you can't do anything, the analysis paralysis, whatever. Look, there's 4 movies. Right. And 4 movie theaters. And so whatever's showing at the time I want to come in, I'm forced to make a relatively easy choice between one of them or none of them.
Okay.
I don't sit there and go, oh, gosh, I wonder, should it be? Nope. I just simply either go and I do it. And
there's your choices, like want to get out.
Exactly. And for some reason, that just really appeals to me. And quite often when I want to go to the theater, there's nothing on that I want to see. They do have a website. You can go to Apex-Siam and see what's on. You know exactly what's happening. So it's not like I show up at the theater and I'm disappointed. No, they're modern enough to know that one. But it's still the preferred place where I go. So rather than going to another theater in Bangkok, I just simply choose not to go. But the third reason is the most important reason why I chose the Scala and the Lido Theater.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, the best popcorn in town.
That's good stuff, man. It's real good stuff. Now, if you listen to the bonus episode or the bonus content that we have on Patreon, you might be able to hear Evo or me snacking on some popcorn because while we were setting up, we did buy some popcorn and some drinks. And let me tell you this, we bought 2 popcorns.
Yep.
Not small, not huge, but not small.
The biggest ones they have available, and we'll talk about that in a moment, right?
Yeah, and I bought a soda, you bought a bottle of tea.
Yep.
All of that, 120 baht. I think
That's $3.60 US.
The cheapest, smallest popcorn at another of these mall cinemas is more expensive than that.
Yeah.
And it's good stuff.
Yeah, it is. But this popcorn is fresh popped. You can see where it's done right there. Where every other theater that I've seen in Thailand, I guess I've been to a couple now that I think about it more, the popcorn machine is hidden in the back. And they've got those, I don't know, like separated sections that you can look into. Where do you want your popcorn with fake cheese? Do you want fake sugar? Or
fake
do you
salt?
want some sometimes flavored? I'm not really sure. But
I don't think they've broached that particular death knell yet.
But this is just popcorn in the classic style that we are used to as eaters of popcorn. And you can't buy a 55-gallon drum of popcorn there.
No, it's just one size. I think it's one size.
Yeah.
It's like in movies when they go into a bar and say, I'll have a beer.
Yeah.
It's like that. When you go to there, I'll have a popcorn.
Yeah, a popcorn. There's no size. I didn't ask for a size. I just want a popcorn. And it's so good because it has 2 things on it. Butter and salt.
Real butter.
Probably so. I'm assuming.
We'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
I wonder if it has MSG on it.
Oh, no. That
even
doesn't matter.
better.
It's got real
It's fantastic.
good taste.
Oh, it is so wonderful. So anyhow, that's why the theater remains my favorite choice.
One of the reasons why we wanted to start off this series with a Scala is because probably is not going to be around for too much longer.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, reality is that as lovely as the theater is, and as tasty as a popcorn is, and as wonderful as I like going to it, yeah, it's kind of on life support. The land on which the Scala Theater sits is owned by Chulalongkorn.
Chulalongkorn University.
Chulalongkorn? Is there another? Oh, there's two L's in there. All right.
Yeah, Chulalongkorn University. Named after King Rama V, Chulalongkorn.
Yeah, and various sources I have seen online have said that the lease originally ran out in 2016.
Oh, yeah.
However, it has been extended to 2018, which is just next year as we record this one. But I've seen some other sources that say no, that's actually been pushed out to 2020 now, at which time there will be a rent hike that's going in place year after year after year that continues. Hopefully it stays, but
yeah, well, when they say rent hike, like I have a friend who owned a restaurant, and the landlord here one year realized how valuable the land was, and he raised the rent by 700%.
Yeah, that's not what this said. This has like 5%. This looks very easy to absorb and go. But
the bottom line is that land is so valuable.
Oh my God.
It's probably one of the most valuable plots of land in Bangkok.
No
and
doubt.
they're not really getting a good return on investment selling individual movie seats at 100
baht each. Yeah, right. Yeah, the most expensive ones are 140 in there. Yeah, and the same thing for the Lido, right? These can't be big money makers, because if you sell stuff for that cheap, you have to have a very low cost structure, and you have to have high volume. I think they've got a low cost structure, but I go all the time, and I can promise you there is not a high volume, which is one of the reasons why we're showcasing it here. It's one of those hidden gems that we would like to have more traffic to, so that it stays around, because if we don't support these sorts of things, we're going to lose these sorts of things.
And especially recently with places like Hemingway's or Cheap
Yeah.
Charlie's. Okay, those are two drinking establishments. But there are plenty of other beautiful old buildings that are just getting demolished and bulldozed, and condos are being put up where they once stood. So it's somewhat of a trend recently as Bangkok urbanizes and develops at an increasing pace, and the train lines go in and things get bigger and faster and better and taller. It's just a numbers game, really.
And I'm kind of torn. Honestly, I am, because I am not a nostalgic person.
No?
I mean, as I explained to you earlier today, my aunt and uncle managed a small single cinema in a tiny shithole town in Oklahoma for a long time, and I worked there for a while.
Right.
And so, I'm assuming that part of me going to this old-timey feel theater, it brings back some of those memories.
I can see you as a little boy standing outside of the theater. Get your tickets here.
Yeah,
Get your tickets, popcorn.
That was pretty much what I did.
You were a newsie.
That is what I was. Yeah, it was 1920 as well. So part of me, harkens back to that, obviously, but I get that society changes and moves. And I get that we have been humans for a couple 100,000 years in our shape that we are right now, and that most of history is and always will be lost to us. And it's just going to have to change. I think I want the Scala to stay because I don't think it's a nostalgic thing. I honestly think it's a better experience. There's not a bad seat in the Scala Theater.
Right.
I don't care which ones you get. Even up front, you will still have a fine view. It's not one of the multiplexes that is like at a 75-degree angle. It's not that, but it's also not the one where you have to worry about somebody's head in front of you. I've never had any part of the screen whatsoever blocked by someone's head, regardless of where I have sat in the Scala Theater with people directly in front of me. It's just really, really laid out. In my opinion, it's an all-around better experience. So that's why I want the thing to stay, not for nostalgic reasons. So bulldoze Bangkok if you want to. I don't care.
We haven't even mentioned the amazing chandelier that hangs down from the roof.
Oh, the big golf ball nuggets.
Giant golf ball chandelier, the beautiful staircase. Yeah, it's just such a gorgeous place. And like I said before, if you haven't checked it out, really, you need to come and check it out. Even if you have checked it out and seen a movie there and haven't been for a while, get in while the going's good, because it ain't going to be around forever. I'd say probably within the next 5 years.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be around anymore.
Which is chances are anybody listening to our show either lives here or visits on a regular basis. So if that's you, or is planning on visiting right away, seriously, when you come to town, take the time to go see what's on at Scala Theater. We'll have a link to the website of the theater when we in our show notes, so you can see exactly what's on when you're going to be here. Go. It's amazing. You want to go with me when 2001 A Space Odyssey comes out in September? Should we go watch that? Did you not like that movie originally?
I'm making grimacing faces here. I don't like Stanley Kubrick, man. I went to film school. I'm a film nerd. I'm a film geek. I just never got down with Kubrick. And while I realized the importance of 2001, that was a seminal movie that changed how science fiction films are done, I just think it's really boring.
Did you hear that sound? That was the sound of everybody unfollowing you right now for your...
Unfollow me at my own peril.
Oh, my God.
I also don't smoke weed, and that might have a big...
That could be a big part of it as well. Because that whole ending scene with the baby makes a lot of sense when you're stoned. Hey, here's what also makes sense when you're stoned. No, I'm kidding. It has nothing to do with that at all. But it's time for our favorite segment of the show, that which we call Love, Loathe, or Leave, where one of us, and this time you have the honors, my friend, springs something on the other person. This week it's me, to find out if it's something that I love about living in Bangkok, something that I loathe about living here, or I hate it so much that I'm ready to leave Thailand. What are you asking me about today?
All right. Well, this is probably more important to you because you ride a motorcycle than it is to me because I ride a car.
Right.
I drive a car. And now, have you ever been driving along and you get past or pull up next to or drive in front of, even scarier, one of these trucks, these Thai trucks that are hauling whatever.
Oh.
But you take a look at the giant window that stretches across the front of the cab, and along the bottom of the window, they've got 10 or 12 giant floodlights.
Yes.
Along the bottom of the actual glass, they have it blacked out with reflective silver tape. And the top, they have blacked out with reflective silver tape, leaving only about a 3 or 4 inch gap with which the driver can actually see out of.
Right.
They've got side view mirrors that stick out 3 or 4 feet going up and down the side of the cab. These things are like barreling demons. They're a menace.
And we're not talking about pickup trucks. We're talking about commercial
these
trucks,
are like 2-ton,
15, 20-ton vehicles, or garbage trucks,
Right.
Semis, gigantic, load carrying vehicles.
Right, mud flaps with Sylvester Stallone or Al Pacino on them or something
Pacino's
like
huge
that.
around
Yeah,
there.
a little Michelin Man statue stuck.
Like 19 of them.
I call them bedazzled. That's the only way to describe them, is they're bedazzled rigs.
I would agree with that.
And they don't look safe.
It's as if somebody went to Mexico and looked at somebody's hoopty, all blinged out, all with the little dingleberries hanging down off the cabs and whatever, and said, we're going to do that, but with our commercial vehicles, not our personal cars.
How can we make these less safe? How can we eliminate some of the safety features that have come from decades and decades of global statistics?
Yeah, it is. You'll have to find a picture, which, of course, there exist all over on the internet. If you've not seen these, they're pretty impressive, listener. You would like that one. But to the question, I think I'm stuck somewhere in between the love and the loathe. I mean, I love the fact that it is a thing here, and it's a very uniquely Thai thing, although I'm sure there are other applications in other Asian countries as well. But it certainly looks like it's Thailand, and I love that they have that creative flair with a commercial vehicle to make it look all that great. But at the same time, I do drive a motorbike, and I would like to not die. So additional sight for those windows, using windows so that light can come through them would be a better thing, in my opinion.
Utilize the laws of physics in your favor.
Yes, if at all possible. But they just need, like auga horns and stuff to make them even better.
One of those animated horns from the Mask movie that like scream and a tongue comes out.
Or play La Cucaracha. Be great. Be great. So, hey, even though getting kicked out of the theater, we still put together, I think, a good show about the theater that we would really like for you to go.
We're adjacent to the theater right now.
Yes,
so we're in the vicinity of the theater.
And what you need to do is, we didn't say it beforehand, is we need you to go patronize this theater. That, my friend, is called a segue.
Oh, very good.
Where I thank those of you who have become our patron. Your support financially, and it's only a couple of bucks a month, helps keep the show going. So if you loved this episode, even if you're brand new, would you please consider supporting us on Patreon? It's simple.
And if you'd like us to publicly say nice things about you, as we did at the top of the show, or you just want to get the show early or get access to some special patron-only bonus content, head to patreon.com/Bangkok Podcast and lend us your support. We really, really do appreciate it.
And love your money.
And thanks to you, dear listener, for listening to the Bangkok Podcast. If you have something on your mind or just want to drop us a line to say hello, please leave a comment on BangkokPodcast.com, or you can reach out directly to me on Twitter, where I am BKK Greg.
Or you can send us a message either on Facebook or on Twitter or online at Bangkok Podcast. We're very good at responding to comments, questions, and even heaps of praise just about anywhere you post it. For Greg Jorgensen, I am Evo Terra. We'll be back next week with more of our lives lived in the City of Angels right here on the Bangkok Podcast. Chok ti krap! that even close to right?
That's perfect.
Okay,
Perfect.
great.